Hi everyone, I'm Angelina and this is Blueprint DIY, where we remake our clothes to be just as unique as us.
This video is in collaboration with Matilda from the YouTube channel Fashion Wizardry. She is the queen of men's dress shirt upcycles, so definitely go check out her video after watching this one. Okay, so I've done quite a few men's dress shirt upcycles lately where I've been cutting off the bottom to make pleated ruffles for skirts and dresses, and I definitely have a whole playlist of that so you can check those out. Well, that leaves me with a bunch of shirts that look like this, and you know I'm not about to waste this good material. So we're gonna first cut the collar off, and I'll also cut the cuffs off the sleeves. Then we'll cut it in half up the back. The reason I cut it up the back is because I want the shoulder seams to hit my actual shoulder, and since it's going to be a wrap top, I need the front to have room to overlap. So that means I'll have to take it in the back, so I add pins there. And I'll have to cut more off the neck area, so I pull it up so that the shoulder seam is where it should be and add a pin where I need to cut by the neck. And while I have it on, I'll also figure out how cropped I want it. I'm currently only comfortable wearing a sliver of my stomach showing, but that's what's great about upcycling, because you can make yours longer or shorter, however you feel most comfortable. So I'm going to cut out my collar area, making sure to leave seam allowance. And I'm also going to cut it at an angle so that I have a V shape once it's wrapped. And FYI, I know these videos make it seem like I just always know what I'm doing and I just cut perfect the first time, but that's absolutely not true. My first cut is always less than what I actually think I need to cut. Then I try it on again. So the process actually goes back and forth, trying on, pinning, and cutting it until it's just right. So I have it on and I add pins to make the curve right in the front. I cut that next to the pins, leaving seam allowance. And I use the scrap pieces that I cut off to create the neck facing. If you don't know what a facing is, it's a piece that replicates the edge of your garment, but it's generally only a few inches wide. It's a more professional way to finish the edges of your garments rather than just doing a folded hem, especially when there's a curve and your fabric has no stretch. To create the facing, I laid a scrap piece under the curved edge and cut a curve in the scrap piece to match. Then I pin it to the next scrap and move on to do the same thing for the neck area, and so on and so forth all along the edge. Now I can finally cut off the excess in the back and sew the back seam, and I'll also open up that seam and make a top stitch on each side. Next, I can sew my scrap pieces together to create the neck facing. Now I'm going to lay the facing on top, good side to good side, and sew it down all the way around the edge. Once you're finished at the sewing machine, you can cut off and finish the edge of your facing. You'll want to make little slits along the curve to make it lie flat. Then flip it inside the blouse and iron it flat. But while I'm still at the sewing machine, I'm going to hem the bottom. And also fold over hem the edge of the sleeves big enough to fit elastic through. And I've run out of scraps from this shirt, so I use a leftover sleeve from another shirt to cut my long ties. I'm not gonna lie and say that these ties aren't freestyle, because they are, but I cut on the fold about an inch away and made it angled at the end. And I did one purposely wider than the other. Then I sewed along the edges and flipped it right side out. Now I'm going to add these ties to the blouse by putting the larger one on the side that wraps over the top. And I'll open up the side seam and sew in the skinnier tie. Then I'll add elastic inside the hem of the sleeves. Now I can try it on for the final adjustments. You can see that the ties turned out great and the facing actually came out correctly. I just need to add a button in the buttonhole to keep the inside wrap part in place, and I thought I would be okay with the asymmetric v-neck, but I'm not. So I decided to scrunch the inner side and top stitch it to make it stay scrunched. I also folded under and sewed down the edge on that side so it wouldn't be so wide. And to finish it all off, I decided to make some little ties to add to the sleeve. Now the great thing about this blouse is that you can wear it two ways. I made it specifically to go with the upcycle from last week's video, which is linked above. But with this skirt, it looked best without the ties hanging down. So I put the scrunch side on top and wrapped the ties around and made a small bow on the side. But it can definitely be worn as originally intended like this. And in general, for me, I would pair it with anything high-waisted like these shorts. You don't want to miss next week's video where I'll give you a couple of options of ways to transform these old lady shorts at the thrift store into super cute shorts for the summer. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss that. And of course, you can definitely pair this blouse with jeans, like these crossover jeans that I made a few weeks ago from some vintage Levi's. Definitely check out Matilda of Fashion Wizardry to see her super cute and fun upcycles. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.